Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry. From data-driven marketing experts like Mike Provence, who empowers independent wine and spirit stores to compete with the big chains, to today's guest, Diane Strand, whose video production insights help wineries tell their story through video. Today's episode, it's sponsored by Barrels Ahead. At Barrels Ahead, we work with you to implement a one-of-a-kind marketing strategy, one that highlights your authenticity, tells your story, and connects you with your ideal customers. Diane, in short, if you're a business looking to retain a winery or craft beverage producer as a client, Barrels Ahead will figure out a plan to make it happen. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I want to give a big thank you to Alexi Cashin. On last week's show, Alexi and I discussed how she scaled her company, Ellen Tenney Imports, from its initial bootstrap phase to the global wine and spirits logistics company it is today. If you're looking to scale your business, you got to check out last week's episode. I am super excited to talk with today's guest, Diane Strand, about how wineries and craft beverage producers can better use video to tell their story. Diane is the majority owner and executive producer of the award-winning JDS Video and Media Productions, based out of Temecula, California. Diane's industry experience is vast, and to list all of her accomplishments would probably take up a whole show in itself. But highlights include producing shows for General Hospital, Friends, and Veronica's Closet. She launched the Disney Channel's Playhouse Disney and built the high-def streaming control room at Staples Center for HBO pay-per-view. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Oh, thank you very much, Drew. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. So, Diane, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the executive producer here at JDS Studios, and we're an award-winning video production company. We do a lot of video production for marketing and communications, helping businesses communicate, whether they're communicating with their clients or potential clients, or they're trying to even communicate internally, whether that be with training videos or that be with HR videos and onboarding, handshake videos to be able to greet people, to bring them in. That's a little bit about what we do in our corporate video marketing. I also do a lot with Spirit of Innovation. I'm the executive producer of a news magazine show for Riverside County, and I live here in Temecula, which is the hub of wine country here. We're taking over Storm of California as Temecula marches on with the Golden Bear Awards. We work a lot with the wineries in helping them get their messaging out and working with them, as well as showing their process. We've done a lot of work with South Coast Winery, going in, showing how they harvest the grapes and then how they clean them, and then how they put them through their vintage. I'm not a wine expert there to be able to give you all the lingo, sure. But they put it through their winery process to then make the wine. I should have watched the video maybe before I got on this podcast, but it was a great video just showing their process. So those are wonderful things that we can do for, with video to be able to share messaging.
Yeah, no, that's great. Tell a little bit, like backing up a little bit, what drew you to the video industry and how did you get your start?
Well, I think I started in this industry like most do. I wanted to be an actor. I grew up in Orange County area and then launched into LA after a couple of years in community college and pursuing an acting career, and started writing and found myself loving behind the camera so much more. As I started writing some shows, I sold a screenplay. And then as I wanted to finish out and round out my education, I graduated from Cal State Northridge. And then from there, I went into working on some of the shows that you talked about, like General Hospital and Friends, and did a lot of concerts out of Staples Center and things like that. And then I got a little into the biotech world in the corporate marketing And I really loved it. It was a part of video production that I never really knew existed at that time. Everything was entertainment and everything that I knew, but this was a way to give messaging in a different way. At that time, it was with Amgen Pharmaceuticals and in the biotech industry, but which biotech, and you get into the chemistry of winemaking, they definitely, come together in there. But it gave me a new love and passion because number one, in the entertainment industry, you get in a box. If this is your job, you only do your job there. In the corporate world, I got to do everything from the writing to the production to the post-production. And then I felt like I had a purpose because it was helping save a life or give somebody who was stricken with cancer an answer or a solution. And then as I started to tie that into the other business industries and be able to give their message out, I started refocusing my dream. And right now, I call myself the dream maker because I make other people's dreams come true and I provide hope. And I define that today as help one person every day. And through video, I do that. Now, it's not always, save a life or something like that. But when I can share another business, like a wineries business or the winemaker's business and tell their story, or the heritage of, why are all these little wine countries popping up and a little documentary about them or something like that. I feel like I'm able to help them and help their business. And so, it makes a difference. And that's what I'm all about. I have a lot of different ways that I try and make a difference, but I think video makes a difference.
That's a really good insight. So it's video making a difference for a winery. What advice would you give a winery looking to incorporate video into their marketing and into their storytelling?
Well, video can go much further than just your typical, let's put a commercial on TV. That's a great way to share your brand out there. Of course, get your commercial on TV, and you need video production to make that happen, of course. But I think the power behind video, especially, for the wine industry is, show how you make your wine. If you want them to come, wine tours, especially now in the COVID world, this is a way for them to really get in touch with your experience at your winery. I mean, we all, still let our fingers do the walking, maybe not through the yellow pages, but definitely through the Google pages. And, if you can throw a video up on your website, you're going to increase your search engine market and your search engine optimization. You're going to increase people looking further and deeper into your website. You're going to give them an experience before they've ever even come to you. And if that's the experience you're creating, they're going to come to now live that experience. And, we have some beautiful wineries that, Temecula is just popping all over the place with wineries. And, we have Ponte Winery, which then launched Botaya. And, the video of just being able to see their scenery and their view from sitting on their back patio would make anybody want to go to their winery. So, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video can get you 1,000,000 words.
I like that. And it evokes so much emotion with the video.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of evoking emotion, so we always see it done correctly, and we immediately know that's a great video. But what sort of mistakes do you see people making with videos right now, especially in wineries?
Well, everyone thinks that they can be, their own little Spielberg, I guess. I can hold this up. This is a great tool, but it's not your best tool if you're trying to put out a professional front. Your phone is great to capture images, capture short little clips of doing something when you don't have a professional entourage or cameras or high-end equipment, but don't make that be your whole video. Create and capture that on your phone, so that when you work with your video production company and they come out and they tell your story in today's world, you can pull in some, oh, I have some of this footage and I have some other things, and then give that to your company and they will make that look even better. So, my biggest tip is don't try and do it all by yourself. Another really good tip is to write a script. Don't just think that, I'm going to go out and turn on my camera, even if you have a $10,000 camera and you put it on there and you're like, I want to make a video about harvesting. Know what you want to say about harvesting. So that way, what pictures to go out and capture with your video camera, because you could go out and shoot all day long and then sit down and go, now what do I want to say? And then realize, oh, well, I should have had close-ups, or maybe I needed more of an establishing shot here, or I needed an overhead, or now I'm talking about, the process of cleaning and I got so, into, clipping back or something. I don't know enough about it, but as we kind of get into, you just want to make sure if you have a script, you have a guideline, you can follow along and know what you want to shoot, make a shot sheet. That is a very important thing, to do. A lot of things can be post-scripted too, but if you know and have some organization going along with it, that's half the battle, because you sit down in front of that, you sit down in front of your computer and you try and assemble it all. You got to know what story you're telling. Otherwise, it gets a little Sybil-ish. And as somebody who can be Sybil with 3 different businesses, from video to acting to producing television to running a nonprofit and workforce development, I understand Sybil. But, when you're shooting a video, follow the bullet points.
That's great advice. So you've followed you've created your script, you've got your shot list, you've got your shot day. What advice do you give for the actual production?
Lighting. Lighting is, even when you're outside, make sure that you have, backlit, things aren't dark. They can look good through your viewfinder and still not be lit right when you sit down and put them on the computer. So lighting is key. Key lighting, 3-point lighting, learn about 3-point lighting, so you can have your fills and your key lighting. That is a really big tip. The other thing is audio. Audio is super important. If you are trying to get someone to talk on camera, that you have good mics and you have good transmission between the mic and your camera. Those are the hardest things to fix in post-production, is the lighting. As they say, bad in is sometimes bad out. So, and I'm sure, all the winemakers know that if it's not a good grape, it's not going to make a good wine, right? You get that up front. It's the same thing. If you don't have good footage, you're not going to have a good video. And those are the hardest things to clean up in post-production, is your lighting and your audio.
And that is great advice. And one of the things I want to go back to is, you said, there's a place for the impromptu iPhone shots on social, and there's a place for it even in these well-produced videos. One of the more important things is working with a video production company. And while we want everyone to use JDS Productions, what advice would you give a winery looking to choose a video production company? Are there some important questions to ask, or some important things to look out for? Because they're not all created equal.
No, they're not. And you get what you pay for, in that sense, and it depends on what you're really trying to put out. If you're a high-end winery, you need to go with a high-end production company. If you're starting out, no one's going to say, okay, don't get the college guy who has, a good camera and, has put some good things together in that sense. Everybody deserves their chance and their opportunity in this industry. And I'm a firm believer in that. But, the big thing is that, you want to be able to collaborate with somebody. if you as the winery can share your vision, and that video producer or video company that you're talking to can get behind that, and you feel the energy and that collaboration, that creativity coming up, that's your company. Because that's where your vision is going to transcend in the video work. If you're chasing the price, and it's all about how much is it going to cost me at the end, you're not going to have your vision translated the way you really envisioned it in the beginning. And that's an important thing when you sit down with the company, the production company. If you want to be able to share what it is your goal is that you want to get from this video, because you could have two videos that almost look identical, but the messaging could be different. Is it a call to action video, or is it an informative video? So that's going to be in the messaging and a little bit of your pacing of your video in the end. If it's a call to action video, it should have a little bit more pop to it, because you're getting them excited and you're revving them up, and at the end it's do something, right? If it's an informative video, you slow it down a little bit. You have longer takes, more dissolves, more things to go into that video, because you're bringing them on a journey and you want them to learn something and you want them to feel emotion about something. So, I would say a lot of times when you go with an inexperienced video producer, they don't understand that aspect of it. They might be able to take great pictures and put a video together that was their concept and their creation that came from them, but they don't understand how to take somebody who's not a video person's concept and creation and message and interpret that the way that it needs to be.
That's very insightful. I like the part where you talked about, I like chemistry being a very important decision factor, even on price, because you usually think of price, so let's just pick the lowest bid, and you usually get what you pay for. But on the flip side, I can see you can also, if you just pick the top person, the top most expensive one, thinking that they've done so many awesome videos, and there's no chemistry, you're not going to get the results you want, I would think.
Exactly. I always say, that's what we do. I'm not the most expensive out there, and I'm not the least expensive out there. I drive my business. It's about customer service. It's about creating that collaboration. I found really early on, what my ideal client would really look like. And that's somebody more from concept through delivery, as opposed to, can you just shoot some video for us, and then not really understanding what they need that video for. Or I had somebody shoot this video and I can't seem to put a complete video. We shot some footage, but I can't put a video together. Can you help me? And it's like, those are where we as a company can get in trouble too. Not to say it can't work out. We've made some, we've made some masterpieces out of other people's messes, of course, but but at the same time, when you find someone that you can work with through concept, through delivery, and you can bring your passion into it as the company who wants the video, it's always going to excel, whether we're talking about wine, or we're talking about a wine experience, or we're talking about a place to come and experience, or trying to package it with other things. I mean, that's when you sit down and you have someone who you can collaborate with, the passion just flies, and the end result is usually a good result where, money flies too.
Excellent advice. What I'd like to shift a little bit here, because you run a pretty impressive nonprofit, and you doing work, and it's involved with workforce partners. You want to talk to us about that? And you are deeply involved in the Temecula community.
I am, thank you. I do sit on the Riverside County Workforce Development Board. So I'm all about creating opportunities. I do work with adults with developmental disability and autism, and we have a training program. So we are training adults, video production, camera operation, lighting, writing, editing, They do voiceover. We have a TV show called Spirit of Innovation. We've had a lot of the wineries on there doing special stories, whether that be Fazeli's Winery or South Coast Winery. So we've worked with a lot of the wineries on our television show that our adults work on and get training. So if there's any of the wineries that are out there that are listening, if you want your own in-house marketing and video, I have some individuals who would be great to put on your team or your staff and work. As being a workforce development person, I know what goes on in our cities around here. Here in Temecula, the Temecula city, they have a vintage. Say that word for me. Why can't I'm having problems saying
vintage?
The process of it's vintage. It's a vintage culture or something.
Vinification?
I apologize. I'm hacking that all up, aren't I? But they have a program to where they take adults with developmental disability, they bring them out to the wineries, and they teach them how to harvest. They teach them how to process the grapes after they've been harvested and go through the cleaning and the destemming and that whole process in that workspace. So then they can go out and have jobs too. And the best thing about taking somebody who has a barrier to work, they have passion and grit and determination because somebody's giving them an opportunity that nobody would ever give them before. And the benefit to the business is you can hire these individuals and it does not cost you the payroll money. They usually come with $10,000 worth of compensation. So the business doesn't have to incur the payroll. They have workman's comp. All those things are packaged in with it. And you get to have these individuals in your operation for 90 days, 6 months. You haven't paid them a penny. They have a coach that comes with them. They are learning and training, and then you can step them into a direct hire position and you have no learning curve. All you have is a great individual who has passion and grit and nothing but thankfulness because you gave them an opportunity. So we are supplying those individuals well trained in the video production world. I know our city of Temecula is putting out groups of people to work in the out in wine country. There are a lot of different programs. I know here in California, across the state, there are inland regional centers and Department of Rehabilitation centers. And if you connect with them and your workforce development, they will find you ways to get on-the-job training dollars. Now, this could be for somebody who has developmental disabilities and autism, or this could just be for somebody who needs to be retrained into the business. You want to hire a marketing person for your winery, someone for your gift shop, somebody for your customer service or your restaurant or any of the things that go along with the winery. You can find someone from another trade, retrain them, not have to pay, you can get 50% of their first $490 hours reimbursed to you. Some come if they have any challenges on an intellectual level, they'll come with a coach. So you don't have to try and figure out how do we work this communication. It becomes organic and learning from them. There are so many opportunities for businesses and for individuals who, especially since COVID, they need to redirect and learn something new. Maybe they want to be a wine master and they want to learn how to do that. But, all they ever did was maybe they worked at, even a company like Abbott or something, and they were in manufacturing and they had to downsize. So they need to be retrained. It's somewhat similar, but yet different. And, for the first, 90 days, a company gets 50% of that person's payroll reimbursed to them. And you now trained them to be in your wine industry. They have a new wonderful job, and it was no sweat off the employer's back. So
that's amazing. If you're a winery in Temecula, where can someone find this resource?
Well, they definitely will want to talk to workforce development. There are several offices throughout Riverside County. Okay. There is one out at the French Valley Airport. here that is workforce development that you want to talk to, as well as if you just look up workforce development on Google, it'll give you all the offices. There's, as I said, French Valley Airport, Hemet, Rubidoux. They have all these different offices that individuals can go and register with and find out about opportunities for jobs, as well as the different training programs. It'd be great, the winery should get involved in workforce development. And we have a couple here in Southwest Riverside County that are involved. I chair the Southwest Riverside County Workforce Development. So we do have some wineries that pop in, but it would be, if they get involved in workforce development, there are little tributaries everywhere of different funnels, whether that be for funding or employment or how to bring in, hire veterans. It's all of those things that you don't think about: hiring veterans, at-risk foster youth that are aging out of the system, adults with developmental disabilities, anybody who may have to, retrain for a job. They came out of the 85 world. They were all independent contractors doing different things, but now because of California and the labor laws, they have to have a job, and they are trying to retrain from what they did before into a new industry. And everybody's starting up fresh. This is a great way to find resources and benefits and even grant dollars and lots of things to put to help businesses with their bottom line when trying to bring in employees, whether they have barriers or retraining.
Great advice. Great advice. As we're kind of wrapping down the episode, I always like to ask, what type of wines are you drinking lately?
Well, I love probably a blush wine. That's kind of my favorite. I leave the wine connoisseuring to my husband. He's the one who goes out and picks them, and I really like the Sauvignons, and I don't get real heavy into the reds. It has to be kind of a fruity flavor for me. But
there's some great ones in Temecula. I mean, they love the rosés coming out of there.
Yes. They have a really good one. I think I already plugged them once. I go out to Pattaya a lot. I love their patio. I love just sitting by the pool, whether I'm just having a glass of wine fully dressed or in a swimsuit. So I have a lot of fun out there, as well as going out to Belvino. I love going for their music on Friday nights, when they have the entertainment. One of my favorite, Robert Rankin Walker, he plays out at Belvino all the time and does a lot of the wineries. Long Shadows is a lot of fun too. So I like visiting the wineries more than I'm like, which wine do I like better?
And there's such an experience in Temecula right now. It's been a year or so since I've been up there, but I was so impressed. I was so impressed at the way those wineries, the experiences that they provide. And I've got to check that out. Belvino, I haven't been there. And the other one you mentioned was
Long Shadows.
Long Shadows. Yeah. That's another one that I need to check out.
I tend to go to the ones that have a lot of live music. I really like the music industry combined with the winery. If I'm out there for a reason, then, kind of thing. So the ones that have really great atmospheres are the ones that really draw me. And they're doing fantastic out here in Temecula. I mean, we're knocking down Napa one wine at a time.
It's so good to see live music returning. I missed it so much during COVID. So that is fantastic. So that's all ramped back up in Temecula. So you guys can get your reservations in and head on out to Temecula.
Yeah, slowly. They do have still restrictions going on and different things like that, but they are starting to do some Sunday brunches and some different things like that at the wineries. Thankfully, we seem to be maybe on the backside of COVID-19.
Let's fingers crossed, knock on wood here. So,
yes.
You know what? Today we've been talking with Diane Strand of JDS Video and Media Productions. Diane, where can people learn more about you?
Well, I am all over social media, so that's a great place to find me. You can usually find me under Diane Strand, whether that's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. And then JDS Video and Media Productions, JDS Actor Studio, and JDS Creative Academy. That's the nonprofit where we work on training and education and apprenticeship programs. as well as then we have Spirit of Innovation. So if you're interested in Temecula wine country, we talk about them often on Spirit of Innovation, which is our news magazine TV show that we produce out of here. You can also find some of our participants that we're training. They have the SOI update, and you can find them 7 days a week on 102.5 The Vine. They do a news update 7 days a week, 3 times a day there. And, you can always come find me if you're here in the area and you want to learn about workforce development or any of that for your wine business. Get involved in workforce. Look me up. I'm happy to answer any questions. I love that this is somewhat local. Even if we are talking up to Napa or in the Central Coast there are workforce development agencies across the state that can definitely help you bounce back out of, the COVID times and find your new staff and help you in that slow, big, huge uphill that you have to kind of climb out of. So why not get half of their payroll reimbursed as you start training people for new positions and putting some of that money back in your pocket as you're trying to help rebuild your business and come back out of this? It would be a great resource, and I'm happy to help. So find me from #JDS family to Diane Strand and just reach out and say hi.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Diane, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.